On this episode of Lapeef, Let's Talk.
Like, not dependent on you, their mom, you know, not dependent on family members. They're literally on their own, running a household, have a husband, catering to his needs, and they're 16 years old. Would you say that that person is still immature and not an adult, or would you say that they were?
I guess
I'm sorry, I'm not targeting you.
Yeah, well, no, and I think that's a great question. But I would say that she's an adult at 16 and she's acting like a woman. I mean, playing house at 16, is that being a woman?
But is it playing house if that's her real life?
Well, 16 taking care of a man or catering to a man, that's playing house. There's no need for her.
She's somebody's wife.
At 16 here in the States?
Not here.
Well, see, but then that's what I'm talking about here. So okay. No, as far as in the States, a 16-year-old girl being someone's husband, wife, living with a man at 16.
Let me take a page out of JR's book real quick and throw a bonus question. So we're talking about adulthood, right, and things of that nature. Who on the panel believes, because we have boundaries and constructs that are in place that hold people accountable. So when an adolescent whose brain isn't fully developed, right, commit a heinous crime, whatever, and they're held accountable as an adult, do we
you supporting my argument, really?
I'm asking, do we all agree that adolescents should be held accountable as an adult?
Well, I think that would then say that age doesn't determine certain things, right? Because if that's the case, then all of the arguments that we've been having would kind of be null and void. That would mean that age does not determine adulthood. You know,
but that's the exact argument that they make when they say I want to charge you as a adult. It's based off of an age specifically. It's literally based off of an age.
Yeah, right. in the crime.
In the crime.
And
no, I see what Anton's saying. He's laying out I see what you're doing, bro. I got you. No, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
But I personally, I mean, the brain develops based on, this is my personal opinion. I don't have any facts to support this at all. I just want to give that disclaimer. But I feel like the brain develops based on your experiences. So depending on what trauma you're going through, depending on, like, I feel like we're just, as humans, we naturally adapt to certain situations. Now, but as you said, Anton, that does support your argument, because if you're being tried as an adult, that means that they're going based off of your age. However, if you're doing a heinous crime and you're, I don't know, 17, right? You're not technically 18. You're not technically the adult age. But at the same time, the processing that it takes to commit that crime, that's an advanced way of thinking, don't you think?
Well, what's happening? Not necessarily. I mean, everything we've known and everything we do is a learned behavior. Every single thing that we do is a learned behavior, right? And when they say charge you as an adult, right, there's a baseline as far as the age.
Right.
Does not mean that they
age.
I'm sorry, say that again, Kay.
It's not just any age. Like, you can't be 5 and be tried as an adult.
No, I agree. But the,
you know what I mean?
The tried as an adult is referencing that baseline.
Right.
When they say that we're going to go outside of the guidelines, that's exactly what they're doing. They're establishing that baseline, and they say, okay, this is an anomaly. This is a situation that causes for us to go outside of whatever that baseline is in order to make a more informed decision on how it is that we're going to deal with this situation. But they still reference that baseline. Everything we do is referencing the baseline. Everything.
Oh, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, that's why I said I see the argument he's making. Yeah,
because when you say tried as an adult, that means you're. Right. I get what you're saying. I mean, everybody makes sense to me.
You can't even go on a certain right. I mean, if it's based off of maturity, why don't they just put a person that may be mentally more mature and maybe more built, right? Why don't they put them in the adult facility? Why don't they let them stay with the grown folks?
But like you said, that's like a a rarity on a lot of cases too. So are we going to talk about what's more generally, where this is why we have the juvenile detention halls and not putting them in prisons with grown men? So understanding psychology and understanding what Maslow's rules of hierarchy is, with understanding what maturity is. It's, you can't hit one level of a need, and one level has to be hit before you get to another level, so these are needs that you have to hit emotional and being mature as a person. So we can say, well, someone can go through a whole lot of trauma and stuff, but the thing is, a lot of trauma will defer a need. So I was watching some doctor, and he said, you can tell a woman that's had something happen in trauma that she didn't get over because of her voice. It would suspend a lot of maturity in her with trauma. So you can hear she talks like a young girl and she's 40. A doctor said that's usually some sign of trauma, because she hasn't emotionally developed to be a woman because of the trauma that happened that she did not get over.
I think
have a pause wherever the trauma happened.
Right. Yeah. You stunt your growth where it does. So even if you're at an age at 40, that maturity level can be stunted by trauma, because we say, yeah, I'm 15 and I've been through it all. Just because you've been through a lot doesn't make you mature. It means that you have trauma that you have to deal with. And unfortunately, you have it at a young age. So there's particular laws that you have to have and meet to be a fully grown, mature person.
Exactly.
But you don't refer to that person as a child. You still call them an adult. You said that's a grown man living in his mama's basement.
So how do you feel about Courtney? How do you feel about like women who, or I would say, young women, obviously, like you're saying before, in the same regard, that have different life experiences, like literally have like been on their own, had to figure it out, like from maybe, they've been cooking since they were 7. That doesn't make you an adult. I'm just saying, as in like they've gained life skills and they're literally like not dependent on you, their mom, not dependent on family members. They're literally on their own, running a household, have a husband, catering to his needs, and they're 16 years old. Would you say that that person is still immature and not an adult, or would you say that they were?
I guess
I'm sorry. I'm not targeting you.
Yeah, well, no, and I think that's a great question. What I would say, that she's an adult at 16 and she's acting like a woman. I mean, playing house at 16, is that being a woman?
But is it playing house if that's her real life?
Well, 16 taking care of a man or catering to a man, that's playing house. There's no need for her.
She's somebody's wife.
At 16 here in the States.
Not here.
Well, see, but then that's what I'm talking about here. So no, as far as in the States, a 16-year-old girl being someone's husband, wife, living with a man at 16,